Now I think that there's a concept when they said the winner go the spoils. So in the struggle, the world's class struggle between Jacob and his brother Esau, that struggle continues, and in the years that we're going to be looking at now, which the title of this little area here is called From Crusade to Crusades, and we read about this yesterday, and we tried to get some background on what's going on, and now we're going to kind of take a look at the map. Really, there are 3 maps here, and we'll be looking at them. Let's look at the first one. Well, that's the first one. It's a map of England, and that's where the historical atlas will tell you. See, the problem with the Jews is that we just never get it, and we're still hanging around telling the story of our struggle from our point of view. From the point of view of the church, because at this time, the years approximately around the year 1100, back and forth, the whole world that we know of is Catholic. Now there is a split in the church. There's an Eastern Catholic, and there's what you call the Roman Catholic. So the Jews lived amidst this, and the reality of the images of people's minds of what we think is going on is really the Roman edition. Unfortunately, the Jews are still here. And we have people like Dr. HAIM BEINART, who really looked into this in great detail. So let's see if we can't move this around. This is England, okay? So we're going to be dealing with that. This map here really goes back to what we were talking about to a certain extent, but this is an historical map which have details on it, and we'll be looking at it. So these are the paths, of course, that we've seen before of the Crusaders, the different crusades that went through. But now we're going to look at what was going on elsewhere. And then the final one is a book. This is the Rhine River. As Rabbi Beryl Wine says, that it used to be the French. It was the French Rhineland. There's the German Rhineland. This area across the northern part of Europe, which would also correspond to, let's see, this is a map of Europe. As we said before, from this area straight going back is all one flat plain, perfect for armies to move. And so this is what we're seeing over here. And now let's take a look over at England. So I was just trying to say parenthetically, these cities in which Jews lived in the French and German Rhineland around the Rhine were vulnerable to all those armies moving across. And that's what happens. Let's look over here at England. You remember King Richard the Lion-Hearted, good old Richard, and Robin Hood, and all the good Englishmen. Of course, that's a story told from the point of view of the English. We who grew up in America didn't know anything other than this is a great hero. Let's come over here. It says, let me see if I can get closer to it. Even. Would that help? So in the years 1073, this is what we're talking about, 1,000 years ago, to 1075, the founding of the first Jewish communities in England. That's what it took place in Cambridge and in this area, apparently. Moving along, moving up a little bit. In the year 1096, Jews from Normandy, okay, so looking at maps again, the Normandy area where there was an invasion in World War II is this area right here. So what he's saying, he says, follow the line, the yellow brick road here, and you get up to like a place, here's the travel. And he says, in the year 1096, Jews of Normandy afflicted, he said affected, but afflicted by the Crusades, they move out of Normandy, which is on the coast, and they settle up in here, this area in England. Now, moving on. Now notice that these boxes have little arrows to them. So we're looking about London. King Henry I grants Jews freedom of movement. You can travel. This is an area, this is a part of the world. There were no cars then. No instant communications. Just to be able to move around, there were soldiers everywhere. But Jews were given the right to be able to move around. Let's see if we can find number 4. I get a little lost in these things. There's number 5 down there. Where's number 4? Here it is. So here we go. It's the good old religion of blood. In the year 1144, in the side of this, it looks like it's pointing at the town of Lynn, near Norwich, in that area. The first blood libel came out. I'm not really sure 100% what a blood libel is, but it's some kind of a sacrilege that requires punishment, severe punishment like murder and death. Let's go over here. In the year December of the year, I guess it says 1 December, 1145, fall of Edessa, capital of the First Crusader state, in 1144. So now we see that this was the path. Well, this is Richard the Lionhearted came this way, and he was coming up to save apparently the Crusaders in the Holy Land suffered an extreme defeat. This in 1144 prompts Pope Eugenius III to call for a second crusade. To those who respond to the call, the promises the security of worldly possessions and remission of sins. You could buy your way out. So here we see the progress, and we see Richard of Lionhearted and all the others that came along the Crusades in boats, moving along. So that takes place at that time. Let me find number 6. Where did number 6 go? Here's number 6. So number 6 is pointing. Where's number 6? Where are you? Here it is. Here it is. Okay, number 6. On the 31st of March, 1146, Bernard of Clairvaux preaches for a second crusade. So here's another crusade coming down this pike. Number 7. 7, I got an idea where it is here. Henry II imposes heavy taxes on Jews and appropriates Jewish property of dead Jews. So if you died, God forbid, the king took all of your possessions. So whatever you had, this is the good old Robin Hood days. Number 7, 8. Number 8. Where's our number 8? Up here. He says, the first loan by a man, he says, is recorded of Aaron of Lincoln to the crown. Jews lent money, money lenders, steal from the rich, give to the poor. 1185, which is Henry II. Then he appropriates Aaron's property when he dies. Nice guy. The English, a real princess. Number 9. Let's find number 9. Number 9. Here it is down here. Now we're back in France. This is pointing over here to Ramaprut. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Ramaprut. He says in 1171, there's another blood libel leads to, listen to this, to 31 Jews being burned at the stake. This is just right below Paris in France. Number 10. Where's number 10? 10. Here it is right nearby. Moving along in the years. February 1822, the 15th of February. Philip II, apparently from Paris, so this is a French king, expels Jews from the Ile-de-France. In other words, he kicks the Jews out. In 1198, though, he allows them to come back. This is the plight of the Ashkenaz Jews. Wouldn't this be enough to say, hey, let's throw in the towel? Some do. September 1189, this is 3rd September. At the coronation of Richard I, the Lion-Hearted, this took place right over here in London, citizens of London and crusaders massacred Jews. Understand what a massacre is. It's a pogrom with swords. And when they find someone, they whack them. Now, I watch a lot of crime things. When you knife somebody, when somebody gets knifed, they bleed. And you can't stop the bleeding. Especially if it hits a bad place. But this is covered in blood. This is blood. Jewish blood. Number 12. The Jews of England participate in ransom payment to free Richard the Lion-Hearted, who was imprisoned in Germany on his return from the crusade. This is a little piece of history. A little piece of that good old Robin Hood history. Steal for the rich Jews. And I'll tell you why they did it. They did it because they could. That's why they did it. Now let's move over a little bit and see some other, just a little bit of detail over here. Is that we have the Rhine River. And here's the cities of mines and worms and spires. These are famous places that we will learn about. So all of these different cities, as we had said before, across the northern plain of Europe, where Jews resided, were vulnerable to what ultimately happened. This is Baruch Fleischman here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and this has been a little review of the maps to give you a little refresher of exactly how it is. But we have to understand our God is strong. And even though all of these violences are perpetrated against us, we remain peaceful and beautiful in our communities as we do now. This is Baruch Fleischman.